This is a video on subject-verb agreement. Subject-verb agreement is one of the most common errors that I notice in your own writing, and it's one of the most common things tested grammatically on the SAT and also the ACT. So this is definitely something that's going to be important for you to understand. Subject-verb agreement is the idea that all verbs must agree with their subject in number. Now, your subject is usually what's set in the sentence. So if you're fixing a subject-verb agreement error, you're not changing the subject or the noun of the sentence. You have to fix the verb to match the noun that's already there in the sentence. So you don't just make the subject plural to match a plural verb. Instead, you would take that singular subject and you would take that plural verb and you would fix the verb so that the verb is singular to match the already singular subject. So I'm going to go ahead and go through some examples with you. But the key rule here is that a singular subject needs a singular verb and a plural subject needs a plural verb. The trick is going to be learning to recognize when a verb is singular or plural, because verbs are tricky about recognizing if they are singular or plural because they're kind of the opposite of nouns in certain cases with certain subject conjugations. So let's go ahead and take a look at this first example. Singular nouns. The politician speaks. So the politician is singular. Speaks is also singular. Now you might notice there's an S on the end of that. So you're looking at that verb going, but it has an S. It's singular? That makes no sense. That is actually the way that verbs are conjugated if they are a regular verb. So for example, I'm going to show you guys with the verb to sing. And if you look up here at the upper right, you'll notice where I've written in the different subjects. Those are the different subjects that you have to be able to conjugate a verb for, to put a verb into its different forms to match. So for example, I is singular. I sing, you sing, he sings. The only time you have to worry about there being an S on a singular verb is for the he, she, it form of the verb. That, however, is the most common way you will see nouns in sentences. The he, she, it form of the subject is one of the most common ones. So for this, the verb has an S in the singular. Now, if you look over on the other side to the plural subjects, we sing, you all sing, they sing. So sing only has an S on the end of it for the he, she, it singular. Not for the I singular, not for the you singular. It's I sing, you sing, he sings. We sing, you all sing, they sing. All right, so that is the only form of a subject that has an S on the end of the verb for the singular. Now, you're used to the idea of nouns, where let's say we have a noun, the cat. All right, cat is singular, cats is plural. So plural nouns have S's. All right, but in this case, plural verbs don't have the S. So that's something you need to keep in mind, that in a lot of ways, these verbs are going to be the opposite of what you're used to identifying as singular and plural with nouns. So there's some other things beyond that S that are going to possibly confuse you. One thing the SAT is really big on is putting non-essential phrases and clauses into sentences to separate the subject and the verb, or prepositional phrases to separate the subject and the verb so that you have a harder time identifying them together and double-checking their subject-verb agreement. Non-essential clauses usually describe a noun, not always the subject. The information is not essential to the meaning of the sentence, and it's an interruption which can be removed without causing any major grammatical problems or changes in meaning. They are surrounded by commas. So punctuation is something that you will need to pay very close attention to when examining grammar. And if removed from the sentence, it will still make grammatical sense. They are often begun with words such as which, who, whose, and where. So let's take a look at this incorrect example that has a grammatical error in it. Moroccan green tea, which is prepared with a healthy amount of sugar and mint leaves, and are one of the most popular drinks across North America. So first, anytime you see a comma, let's circle it, because those, or any punctuation really that's other than a period, circle it because it's important to pay attention to. So Moroccan green tea before the comma, by itself, that's probably a subject, because it's not giving us additional information about anything. This middle section between these two commas, which is prepared with a healthy amount of sugar and mint leaves, is telling us more about Moroccan green tea. It's not itself the action of the sentence. It's additional information about Moroccan green tea. You couldn't just say Moroccan green tea, which is prepared with a healthy amount of sugar. That's incomplete. What about Moroccan green tea, which is prepared with a healthy amount of sugar? So go ahead and cross this out. As soon as you've identified that what is between the commas is not essential to the meaning of the sentence, cross it out. And then look back at what's left. Moroccan green tea and are one of? That makes no sense. So the correct version of this sentence would be Moroccan green tea is one of the most popular drinks across North America. That is the main sentence, the main clause, with a subject, Moroccan green tea, and that verb is. And again, you can ignore that middle non-essential clause, which is prepared with a healthy amount of sugar and mint leaves, when you are examining the grammar of the rest of the sentence. There will occasionally be errors within those clauses on the SAT, so don't cross it out so thoroughly that you can't still go back and read it if you need to. But it is a good strategy as soon as you've identified something as non-essential to just kind of draw a line through it and focus on the essential parts of the sentence first before looking for errors in the non-essential parts of the sentence. Prepositional phrases are another way that they try to separate the subject and the verb to make things more confusing. They are phrases that begin with a preposition. They're often inserted between subjects and verbs, in the box, under the table, over the hill. All right, those are those linking words. And as a reminder, prepositions link nouns and all the words describing nouns, so noun phrases. Prepositions do not link verbs. So sometimes they'll switch up the order of things by having your subject followed by a prepositional phrase telling us more about the subject, then followed up by the verb. So they add that extra information in the middle to confuse the matter. So for example, let's look at each of the parts of this sentence that is incorrect. Changes, that's our subject. In the balance of trade. In the balance is that noun that's being linked. It's giving us more information about what changes they're talking about. It's extra information. Changes seems remote. Changes seems remote sounds wrong, and it is wrong because changes, that noun has an S, which means it's plural. Now the verb seems has an S, which actually means it's singular. Because if you remember to our earlier conversation, verbs with S's are that third person singular, the he, she, it, singular. So if we have a plural subject, we need to change our verb so that it matches our subject. We need to make our verb plural, and we do that by getting rid of that S. Changes seem remote from everyday concerns, but they can drastically affect how we spend our money. Now, sometimes they switch around the normal word order or syntax of a sentence and they reverse things. So sometimes the sentence starts off with a prepositional phrase giving us more information about the verb and then follows it up with the verb and the subject. So let's look at this again, incorrect example. Along the Loop Canal in Nebraska. That word along is that linking word that indicates direction, location, or time. The Loop Canal is that noun being linked, and in Nebraska is also another preposition and noun. So this prepositional phrase is starting off the sentence, and it's telling us more about where parks, lakes, and trails extend. So this is giving us additional information, but it's not actually the subject of the sentence. So it's not the canal extends. That's not what it's saying. What extends? Well, if you look, the subject actually follows the verb. Parks, lakes, and trails are what is extending along the Loop Canal. So parks, lakes, and trails is a plural subject. Extends with that S is that singular verb. So we again need to make that verb plural by getting rid of the S. Parks extend along the Loop Canal. Some additional rules you might want to pay attention to. Neither and nor, when they're used with two singular nouns, the verb should be singular. So the verb takes the number of the noun that follows the nor. Neither the books nor the pen. Pen is singular, so the verb should be singular, which it is. The pen is. Neither the books nor the pen is on the table. So even though this first one is plural, the verb actually takes the singular or plural of the word following the nor, the word that's closest to it in the neither nor. So again, neither the books nor the pens are. Again, now this is plural instead of singular, so the verb has changed to match and has become plural. Collective nouns are nouns that refer to groups of people, an agency, an institution, a school, a committee, a jury, a country, a class, a university, a team. So it's singular. If they're acting together as a one unit, it's singular. After many days of deliberation, the jury have. Well, have is plural. The jury is actually singular because they are acting as one unit. The class is, the jury is, the class has, the jury has. So we have to change that plural have to the singular has. And that's something where for to have and to be, you are just going to have to memorize the conjugations. I have, you have, we have, she has. And to be is even more irregular. I am, you are, he is, they are. And that's something that you guys will get more practice with, conjugating them. Actually, you know what? I am just going to do this right here for you, and I will expect to see this in your notes. So, to be, we have I am, you are, he, she, it, one, is, they are, we are, you all are. That's the conjugation of to be. For to have, the conjugation is I have, you have, he, she, it has, we have, they have. So it's have in every case except for that he, she, it, singular. Now, this next page is your bell work, which you won't have access to until you are in class when we start going over this together, but we will be color coding subjects, verbs, prepositional phrases, identifying and fixing subject-verb agreement errors, and crossing out non-essential clauses. So I'm going to go ahead and do the first one or two in front of you guys so that you can see what you'll need to do for the bell work when you come in. So starting off, number 1, day 1. The process of living vicariously through a fictional character in order to purge one's emotions are known as catharsis. Well, we need to start off by identifying all of the prepositions because there's lots of them. So the process, the is that article indicating the presence of a noun. So process is our noun. It's probably our subject, the process. That linking word of living vicariously through a fictional character in order to purge one's emotions. These are all prepositions linking additional information, telling us more about this process. This entire underlined section is a series of prepositions and the words they are linking, telling us more about that process. So the main sentence is, the process are known as catharsis. Well, the process is the singular subject, so we need the singular verb. Are is our verb, but it's plural. Because if you go back to the conjugation of to be, I am, you are, he, she, it is, they are. Are is plural. Is a process an I? No. Is it a you? No. A process is a he, she, or it, more specifically it. So the correct form of to be in this case, the singular form of to be for the third person singular is. So it should be, the process is known as catharsis. And all of that additional information in the middle of the sentence is just there to confuse you from the main grammar of the sentence. Number 2, along the border between China and Tibet lies the Himalaya mountains. The very first word is a preposition, along the border between China and Tibet. This is giving us more information about something. The verb is lies. That's a verb, and it has that S, so it's a singular verb, because verbs with S's are singular. So what lies along the border between China and Tibet? The Himalaya mountains. The mountains. So is the mountains singular or plural? Well, in this case, mountains is plural. So the mountains lies? No. We need to change the verb to make it plural. So the mountains lie along the border between China and Tibet. And after that comma just gives us more additional information, which includes some of the highest peaks in the world, is telling us more about those Himalayan mountains. And I'm doing very badly at actually color coding this properly, so I'm going to go ahead and highlight the subject in pink, the verb in orange, the prepositional phrase in green, and I am going to cross out the non-essential clause because that's what I'm asking you to do, though preferably in such a way that you can still read it in case there is an error in it, though there won't be while we're doing a subject-verb agreement. Let's do one last one together. Recognized for formulating unorthodox social theories. Again, there's that comma. This is not a sentence all on its own. It's giving us more information. Well, who is recognized? Lev Gumilev. This is telling us more about Lev Gumilev. It is a non-essential clause. We're going to cross it out. This weird, strange person, Lev Gumilev, is probably our subject. Oh, and D.S. Mirsky. Okay, so we have a compound subject. There are two people who are part of our subject, so our subject is plural. Lev Gumalev and D.S. Mirsky. Was. Well, was is our verb, which means we have a plural subject. Well, what is was? Is was singular or plural? That's actually past tense of to be, and I'm going to go ahead and conjugate this for you up here. So I was, you were, he was, they were. We are, or we were, you all were. So if we have that plural subject, we have was, which if we check was is singular for the he, she, it, and for the I. So we actually need the plural form of to be. We need, instead of was, we need were. So Lev Gumalev and D.S. Mirsky were partly responsible for founding the Neo-Eurasianist political and cultural movement. That is where I am going to go ahead and stop for today. Hopefully this makes a little more sense, and we'll continue working on this through our bell work.